Before we get into the video, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. I mean, come on, what are you doing if you're not subbed to me by now? My content is fire, from stop motions, news videos, reviews, music occasionally. All my social media accounts are linked down below, and now, let's get straight to it. Okay, so Hasbro just did a live stream on YouTube and revealed a ton of stuff, and I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on every single figure they talked about here. So first things first, we got Mirage, which we did see all the way back in February, and I'm so surprised since he's the main character, the kid appeal of this movie, that he hasn't gone up for pre-order any sooner. But I guess there's some sort of drama behind the scenes where they're trying to make it more accurate to what we see in the movie, because this is obviously based off of early concept art, and they actually gave away some details about that here in the live stream. They're talking about how they want to make the paint on the figure, and specifically on the head sculpt, the most accurate as they can from the movie. So that's pretty interesting to hear. Me personally, like I said back in February, I'm not too big on the robot mode. I think there's way too much kibble on him, but I do understand why, because this is a licensed Porsche, so they did have to, you know, take more. They did have to put more into the Porsche mode than what they did with the robot mode, which, you know, it's a give and take when that stuff happens when you have a licensed vehicle. So, no, this isn't an oversized 12-inch mainline figure, and no, this isn't a 6-inch Voyager class figure. That's way too small. This is finally the leader class scaled Primal that we have been waiting for, and he looks great, I really gotta say. I hope the legs in ape mode aren't the typical transformation that we've seen on the Voyager class figures the past few years, because I really don't like the way that looks, and it seems like they are borrowing certain elements, but it's a bit more complex since it's a leader class, so it doesn't look as weird when you're standing him up straight. So hopefully the lower legs turn out great in ape mode. That's what I'm hoping for, since he's a leader class and he's got that big budget to work with. I love the hand articulation. It seems like they move in two separate joints, split down the middle of the fingers. So that'll make for some awesome poses. Wrist swivel, mouth articulation. He has the transwarp key, which you could split in half just like in the movie, which is awesome. I love that. Amber, gold, sort of orange paint up in there in the middle for the energy effect. That's sick. He comes with the swords, which can combine, it looks like. You got the, that is awesome. The 3mm port there at the bottom on one sword, then you have the 3mm hole right there on the other sword, which is awesome. He did do that in the movie. I was worried before I started this video. I was looking, I was like, wait a minute, can he combine the two swords like he did in the movie? And I just realized he can, which is absolutely fantastic. And he has the mace whip thing that we saw in the very first trailer back in December. It was during the final battle, the last scene, which was obviously reworked and cut from the final version of the movie, and he was using his mace originally in that scene, and I guess that's where this comes from, and I really love the way they did the articulation on this mace. You could really get into a lot of poses, it looks like. It seems like a lot of the extra sort of budget type stuff went into adding all these joints into the mace, because the transformation doesn't seem that complex. Like, I thought they would go all out in making the ape mode, you know, with the legs a bit more natural looking to what we always see with Optimus Primal, and he's got a little bit of a backpack there, and the ape feet are just sticking out behind. I hope it's just a mistransformation sort of thing for the product shots, like what happens with a lot of figures over the years, so that's what I hope it is. But if it's not, I could see where they sort of went with things, adding in all those joints with the mace and then having to simplify the transformation a little bit more due to that. But it does allow for an awesome mace. I've been saying to Hasbro, whenever they do these mace type weapons, don't make it, you know, a regular metal chainmail, so it just hangs there the whole time. You can't get it into any swinging poses. And don't mold it in solid plastic where it's just in a stiff one position the whole time. Do it like this, where there's multiple joints that you could articulate it in, get it into different poses, whatever you want to do with it, and they did it perfectly here. They nailed his whip accessory, and I love it. The head sculpt looks great. It is the version with the mouth on there, which, we only see it in the movie for like a few seconds, so I don't know why they didn't just go with the faceplate. That was a lot more prominent during the final battle, but it's still an awesome head sculpt, and he does have the axe for Studio Series Optimus Prime, and I'm loving that they gave him his axe. It would have been nice if it was painted orange on there, but it did look like this one time in the movie when he was using it in the final battle. It was sort of like powered down, and it was just a silver axe, and there was no orange highlights, so I don't mind that too much, and it can combine with the mace. You got a 3mm port there at the bottom, but Primal and Mirage, they're going up for pre-order. I think they said later on today at 1 p.m., which is in a little less than an hour at the time of this recording, but by the time this goes up on YouTube, it'll probably already be up for pre-order for a little while, so go pre-order these if you want. This Core Class 2-pack, that's a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. This flew under the radar with a lot of leakers and insiders. We had no idea this was coming, so it was a bit cool to see at first, but me personally, I'm not a fan of the core class downscaled characters that they do. I prefer characters that actually fit the scaling for core class, like Bomb, well, not even that. I guess you could say Rat Trap. There really hasn't been that many core class figures that actually fit the core class scale. But anyway, it's alright, you know, the Energon axe is pretty cool, the shield isn't bad, the repaint on Bumblebee and Optimus isn't too shabby either, the trailer's pretty cool, it's got Roller, which the leader class figure didn't even come with back in 2020, so that's kind of funny to think about. He's got the repair bay drone and stuff, the trailer can fit Bumblebee inside of it, it seems like a nice little fun set if you just want some desk bots to play around with. Shadow Striker I talked about a week or so ago when she first leaked. Again, I think this is a pretty great deluxe. I love the amalgamation of all our different designs over the years, and I can't wait to see what other remolds and repaints they give us from this mold. Bring it on. I'm definitely going to be getting this figure later this year. Bombshell, I believe I already talked about a week or so ago when he leaked, and yeah, this is a pretty great deluxe. I still haven't gotten any of the new Insecticons that have come out the past year, so I gotta play catch up here and get Kickback. Shrapnel, even though he's just now started to come out the past few weeks, and maybe get the buzzworthy repaint, but this Bombshell here really does look great, and I can't wait to get it at some point. I mean, I'm not really in a rush to get the Insecticons, but since the full team is complete, I might as well just go ahead and do it now as soon as possible, so I don't have to pay scalper prices or have to dig through all these listings just to find one that's reasonably priced, you know. And another WTF moment in this live stream, Strong Arm. We have not seen her at all. We've had a listing for her for almost a year now, and it's alright. I mean, it's a reshell of Elita 1 that came out last year in Wave 2 of Legacy, and I guess it works okay, but her head looks too big. The paint apps is nice on the head, though, and on the overall body mold itself. But I just don't really care for what they did with her. I mean, she's not a bulky, brute-looking female character that we saw in RAD 2015, or even in the IDW comics. We already had a perfect frame to go by with the IDW comics, which is obviously, you know, the G1 style of design, so we already had a nice little frame to go by in making a Generations Strong Arm that fits in with the overall aesthetic of Generations, and they kind of missed the mark here in my opinion. It doesn't look bad. I mean, maybe when it goes on sale, because I don't see this figure selling out everywhere immediately. I definitely think this is going to be one that'll go on sale one day. It's not terrible, but I do think they dropped the ball on quite a bit of her key design marks that make her Strong Arm that she's carried over all the way into the IDW comics, so it's alright, but not really something I want that bad. Detritus, we got another Junkion here. This time he's not a combiner or weaponizer or whatever. He's based off of the elusive new Earth Mode Hound body mold that we saw leaked all the way back in October, almost a year ago now. Images leaked online with him and Hatchet from Dark of the Moon, and we haven't heard any word on them since from Hasbro at all, so we don't know when or if those are coming out or if those are canceled, like Velocitron Hot Rod. Who knows what's going to go on with those two, but it is interesting we're getting this figure before the Hound mold. You would think they would put out Hound first and then Detritus, but I don't know what their plan is. Maybe Hound was originally supposed to come out first and things just got shuffled around because of all the toys that are coming out within the past few months. It has been crazy. There have been a lot of figures coming out, so maybe that's why. He does look pretty decent. It's a nice little repaint. I would have preferred it to be on the Cybertronian Siege mold of Hound, because they are on an alien planet, Junkion, and there's no Earth modes, but who knows, he is like an arms dealer, he does travel through different worlds, so he might have scanned that on Earth, or whatever story you want to make up in your own little headcanon, so not a bad repaint, and I'm not really in a rush to get it, but it's pretty cool. I might want to add it at some point to my collection. Core Class Snarl, this one did leak out like a week or two ago. I didn't talk about it on the channel. It kind of slipped my mind a little bit, but it's alright, you know, a decent little Core Class. It's much better than a lot of the Core Class Dinobots we've gotten. It rivals Swoop. Him and Swoop seem to be the best Core Class Dinobots. A lot of them have been hindered by the combining gimmick, and this one really isn't one of them, so not a bad Core Class figure. And there they all combined together. You got the full team now by later this year, which is pretty awesome. It's alright, you know, it's a little stumpy and weird looking. It reminds me a lot of the Power Core Combiners from back in the day, like 2010, 2011, so that's kind of cool. And now into the Voyagers Bludgeon. Oh man, I don't know. If you guys are watching the live stream, you might have seen my comment. I don't know, the comments were going by so fast at times, but when they first showed him off, I was like, no, he's just a repaint of Tarn, a comment that I made at the bottom. But as I keep looking at him, you know, he kind of does evoke the IDW design, which they specifically said in the live stream that it's based off of that. When you put the cannons on the back, it does kind of look a bit better and differentiating it from Tarn. The sword isn't too bad, and it kind of does give off a little bit of RAD 2015 or Cyberverse vibes, like Mark was saying. So it's kind of an amalgamation of a lot of different things, in my opinion. IDW, Cyberverse, RAD 2015. So it's not a bad bludgeon, but I was just hoping they would do some more remolding on him to differentiate his body from Tarn. So it'll be interesting to see if I really want this figure. I mean, I've been wanting a new Chug Bludgeon for forever. The Revenge of the Fallen old Chug Bludgeon figure has not aged well, in my opinion. The articulation is terrible for a character who's supposed to be a samurai, so this does do a lot of things better in terms of articulation, but the body itself, it does feel a little lackluster that they didn't do more remolding than just new paint apps and a brand new head sculpt, which the head sculpt, by the way, is fantastic. You got the open mouth there with the red energy glowing. It is a great head sculpt. It's not a bad bludgeon. It's probably the best bludgeon we've gotten in Chug, which really isn't much of a competition considering the old Legends Class 1 from Power of the Primes and that terrible Voyager class from ROTF. So I might get this at some point. I don't know, maybe. And the new Junkion Voyager of Wave 4 Trashmaster, an all-new character. He looks pretty cool. I like the asymmetry with his hands, and you got the weapon there, which is like a big mouth clamping thing, which is pretty funny and cool. The vehicle mode is pretty nice. It's a dump truck. Obviously, his name is Trashmaster. And it seems like this head might be a pre-tool for a Chug G1ified Heat Wave from Rescue Bots. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe. I don't have insider knowledge, so I don't really know. But it's a pretty cool mold. I'll probably get it at some point. I do have Scrap Hook. I do plan on getting Crash Bar. I do kind of want Axle Grease. So these Junkions have been a pretty big hit to me, and obviously with a lot of other fans. They've definitely been some of the more standout things of Legacy Year 2, and this figure definitely is one of them. Leader Class Bludgeon I talked about a couple weeks ago when he first leaked. Not much to go about here. He's a repaint of Skyquake with a new cannon, not too shabby. And the last thing for these reveals, personally, one of my favorites, other than the Rise of the Beast Optimus Primal that's been revealed today. Generation Selects Beast Wars Antagony. Oh man, she is finally getting her due in the Generations line. We knew from listings that she was coming since like late last year, and now we finally have her revealed. I think she's going up Thursday for pre-order, along with the holiday Optimus Prime repaint in his classic colors. So I'm really hyped for this Antagony. Y'all know me, I'm a late 90s, 2000s Transformers fan, lover, all the way from like G2 to, you know, the early 2010s. That's my sweet spot. That's my favorite era of Transformers. And getting another figure to add to that era, I absolutely love. She's such a badass character. The color scheme works. The repaint, and it comes with a scavenger head. That opens up the possibility for a lot of different things. We could be getting a remold of this body mold into Transmetal Scavenger at some point in one of these recent years. Who knows? But the scavenger head sculpt inclusion is really cool. You could speculate on what they could do with this new scavenger head. It's really cool. It's got that classic expression with that big meaty grin on his face. So creepy and just awesome. I love this repaint. I'm definitely going to be getting it when I can. But anyway, guys, that wraps it up for all the reveals on Hasbro's live stream that just happened today. Let me know down in the comments below, what is your favorite out of all these reveals here? Me personally, gotta go with Antagony and Rise of the Beast Primal. But let me know down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Bye!